All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little Warriors video ahead of the NBA draft. Well, the Warriors, of course, eliminated by the Lakers in the second round of the NBA playoffs, and now here comes the offseason and so many questions or face Golden State. Is Bob Myers coming back or is Bob Myers leaving? If Bob Myers leaves, who's the new general manager? What's the direction of the team? Are they going to trade Jordan Poole? Or are they going to keep Jordan Poole? Are you going to trade Andrew Wiggins? Or are they going to keep Andrew Wiggins? Is Draymond Green coming back? If he is he going to opt in, or are they going to redo his deal and give him a new 2 or 3 year deal? Are they going to the finish line with Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson, or is one of those guys going to be lopped off along the way? What are they going to do to kind of recreate themselves and try to compete in the twilight years of the big three's careers? I mean, there's lots of questions out there and all kinds of rumors. You know, are they going to trade Moses Moody? Are they going to trade Jonathan Kuminga? Are they going to stay with their young guys? All right, let's go through the different options out there and just go through what's been reported, what's out there, and see what you think. Now, one of the rumors that Colin Cowherd is going with is that the Warriors are going to wind up trading for LeBron James. To me, this is the huge mistake that they absolutely can't make. You know, they wanted the two timelines. Why did they want the two timelines? Because they've got an opulent arena that is incredibly expensive, and they don't want to drive their team off a cliff. So they wanted to be competitive for a longer period of time. So they opted for this two timeline approach. They had James Wiseman, Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, Jordan Poole, and it just didn't work this year. The chemistry wasn't right. They treat every time you heard players or Steve Kerr talking, they were talking like they were two different teams. Like, you know, there was the older guys and the younger guys. And I get the sense that Kerr had rules for the older guys that he didn't have for the younger guys. So I don't think it worked on a lot of fronts, but it doesn't mean that it was a bad plan. It just means that it didn't work with the personalities and the talent meshing the way they had hoped. You know, they were hoping that they would get the best out of Clay and Steph and Draymond, and that these three young players would ascend into the regular rotation. They'd be dependable. They'd replace Bielitsa and Otto Porter and GP2, and the Warriors would compete for another title. Well, you know what it ultimately resulted in is on opening night, the Warriors had five guys on their opening night roster who were 22 or younger, and some guys that looked a little long in the tooth. And ultimately, when you look at Denver and Boston and these teams that are left, Miami, um, even the Lakers for that matter, who are now out, but they had more players in the prime of their career. So I do understand that, you know, that's probably what it takes. But at the same time, how did the Warriors build a a title, a dynasty roster to begin with? They did it in the draft, and this is the NBA. You know, the Lakers are the Lakers. They can go sign players left and right, and everybody else needs to build through the draft. The Warriors were looking for quick fixes forever. They never did anything. How did they ultimately build a championship team? They drafted Steph Curry. They drafted Klay Thompson. They drafted Harrison Barnes. They drafted, Draymond Green in the second round. They drafted Jordan Poole. That's how you win in the NBA. You win through the draft. There's no shortcuts. There's no sidestepping it. There's no getting around it. Is it difficult to break down and handicap the draft correctly? Yeah. Is it hit and miss and rife with failure? Yeah. And that's why it's hard to win a title. All right, let's go through some of the rumored options that are out there. I'll start with the LeBron option. I think that option is the worst. From what I've heard, that would include trading Jordan Poole, um, definitely Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody and multiple draft picks to the Lakers. So you're basically giving the Lakers your three young marketable players, and you're giving them your draft choices, and you're getting LeBron James for what, 1 year? He was literally talking retirement at the end of this year. So to me, that just drives your team off a cliff, because in 2 years you're going to look up, LeBron's going to be gone, the Lakers are going to have your picks, they're going to have all your young players, and you're going to be staring at an enormously expensive arena, no additional rings, the knowledge that you sold out for LeBron, and you're going to be in an ugly situation with a staring at a 5, 6, 7 year rebuild, and you're not going to be relevant, and people are not going to go and pay those prices for your arena, and you're going to have Steph Curry in the twilight years and nothing else. And a half-empty arena and a non-competitive team and all kinds of bad vibes and people discontent, with your approach and your direction. So do not go the LeBron route. Do not go the short-term route, trying desperately for one more ring with Curry. If you're going to get a ring with Curry, you're going to do it with Curry and a young supporting cast. You're not going to do it with Curry and LeBron. I just don't buy it. I also don't think that Curry and LeBron gets you over the top. Yeah, will it make you more interesting? Sure. Will it pack your arena? But to me, that's a money grab. That one is just like, let's just fill the arena, get people going through the turnstiles. No chance in hell of actually winning, because there's younger teams and better teams and deeper teams, and they're going to beat you. And you think LeBron looked old and decrepit, in May this year? You think he's going to look better next year with an entire mileage of all that extra mileage from the season on him as well? He's going to be better next year? That's illogical. There's no reason to believe that LeBron's going to be better, or that Curry, Thompson, and Green are going to be better. So that's just going to create headlines. It's going to sell some tickets. It's going to create some buzz. It's going to create some national TV matchups. It's going to have people coming to the arena early, but then that team's going to fall woefully short, and the rebuild is going to be lengthy, arduous, and painful. So no to LeBron coming to the Warriors. Not to mention, most Warrior fans can't stand LeBron and want no part of him on the Warriors. So trade idea number one from Colin Cowherd, who doesn't know anything. And no, not interested in that one. All right, let's look at some of the other rumors that are out there. By the way, the following players are on the Warriors draft workout in San Francisco list: Julian Strawther from Gonzaga, Coleman Hawkins, the big man from Illinois, Trace Jackson Davis, who's Dale Davis's kid from Indiana. I love him. We'll talk about him in a minute. Kendrick Davis from Memphis, who's a 6-foot guard, averaged 21 points a game this year, shot 41% from the field, 35 from three, 85% from the foul line. He's kind of interesting. Craig Porter from Wichita State, and then Caleb Daniels from Villanova. Those guys, and Daniels is a 6'4" guard that plays for Nova, averaged 14 a game. Porter's a 6'2" guard, played for Wichita, averaged 13 a game. Coleman Hawkins is a 6'10" forward center for Illinois, averaged 9, 6, and 3, shot 44%, 28% from three, 61% from the line. The two interesting guys on the list, I think, are Strawther and Trace Jackson Davis. Strawther's a 6'7" junior, played for the Zags, averaged 15 points, 6.2 rebounds a game, shot 47% from the field. The number that's really interesting, though, is 41% from three, and 78% from the foul line. And, he's got kind of a low release on his shot, so I think it's going to get blocked a lot more in the NBA than it did in college. And he's not my favorite player, but those are some nice stats, no question. The guy in that group that to me makes the most sense is Trace Jackson Davis, Dale Davis's kid, who played for Indiana, 6'9", power forward. He's really a small ball center. He doesn't shoot threes at all. I think he took like 3 threes his entire career at Indiana, but what a year he had this year. An amazing bust out year for TJD, as they call him. 20.9 points a game, 10.8 rebounds a game, 4 assists per game. Shot 58% from the field. A lot of that's in the paint. As I said, 0% from three, because I don't think he took a three all year. If he did, it was 1 or 2, and he didn't make one. But 70% from the foul line. He's got a pretty good shooting form. He's a great second jumper. Good player. Trace Jackson Davis, I think, could be a nice small ball 5 for Golden State. Really solid player, quick jumper, great athlete, shot blocker, rebounder. assist guy. I mean, this guy can do it all except for shoot from the perimeter. He's not a perimeter shooter right now, but man, he can score inside. He can pass. He can block shots. He can rebound. He can do a lot of things. So I like Trace Jackson Davis quite a bit. All right, that's a little sidetrack from our trade discussion. All right, Gilbert Arenas, the hibachi, the former Warrior, threw out this trade idea. Jaylen Brown from the Celtics to the Warriors for Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins. Now, I would do that deal. I don't know why Boston would, but if Boston for some reason loses game 7 to the Heat, winds up not going to the finals, maybe they move Jaylen Brown. It's also possible that Jaylen Brown told them he's not going to sign an extension there long term. There's some players that just get tired of living in Boston. He may be one of them. He also has a knee issue that has to be looked at. And there's no way I'm making that trade unless I check out that knee and feel like it checks out. I mean, if he's literally bone on bone in that knee and he's laboring, and he's got 2 years left in the NBA, I can't trade him Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins. But if the knee checks out, and for whatever reason Brown doesn't want to be in Boston, and the Celtics are open to making this deal, that's an attractive deal. Jaylen Brown, I think, would be a really nice player next to Curry, Thompson, and Green. I'd be very intrigued by that trade. That one I would definitely be interested in. All right, there's another trade rumor out there. In the May 22nd article called NBA Trade Ideas for Players Who Need a Fresh Start, Grant Hughes of Bleacher Report proposed the trade that would send Jordan Poole and Jonathan Kuminga to the Raptors for OG Anunoby. Now, lots of people feel like OG Anunoby is the perfect player for the Warriors, and I can see why. There's a lot of things to like about him, and I just don't. To me, this is not that. I'm not interested in moving Kuminga. I'm really just not. I'd rather not move Kuminga because I think Kuminga's upside is tremendous, and I think he can play a. They didn't get the most out of Kuminga this year, but so what? He's 19 years old. He's 20 years old. Chalk it up to a lost year and figure it out next year. Don't go sending him somewhere else. He's one of the great young athletes in the league. You're going to look really, really bad for trading Jordan Poole potentially. You're going to look worse if you trade Jonathan Kuminga. At least Poole's averaged 20 a game. He's got more value. Kuminga right now is his value's at an all-time low and his talent's at an all-time high, and he's got a huge future. So, yeah, is Kuminga need development? Sure. Does he need development on a shot? Do we know his defined role yet? There's a lot of unknowns with Jonathan Kuminga, but he's also one of the league's most obvious, incredible athletes, and to move him at this point would be risky, to say the least. So I'm not necessarily interested in that deal either because I don't want to move Jonathan Kuminga. Poole and Wiggins for Jaylen Brown, I'm listening. Poole and Kuminga for OG Anunoby, no. I'm not a big fan of that. All right, let's go to the other rumor that I think is probably the most interesting one. The Athletic has proposed a trade where the Warriors would send Jordan Poole and Jonathan Kuminga to the Rockets, and in return, the Rockets would send the Warriors Kevin Porter Jr., Jayshawn Tate, Kenyon Martin's kid, KJ Martin, the 4th pick in the draft come June, in a month, basically, and then Houston's first-round picks in 2025 and 2027. Well, that right there seems really intriguing. Now, I don't love the idea. I'm not a big Tate fan, but I like KJ Martin as an athletic small forward who can finish. I like Kevin Porter. There's no question Porter's got talent. I absolutely want that 4th pick in the 2023 draft. I'll tell you what I'm going to do with it in a minute. And then the Houston first-round picks in 25 and 27 definitely make you go, wait a second. Those could be lottery picks. You don't know what Houston's going to be in 25 or 27. If nothing else, they're probably mid-first round picks. So that trade is intriguing. Porter is got major talent, as a combo guard scorer. So I to me, that's an intriguing deal. Now, I still don't want to move Kuminga, but I also don't really care that much about those 2025 and 2027 first-round picks. I guess if I could reconfigure that deal, I would have interest. If I could send Jordan Poole and Moses Moody instead of Jonathan Kuminga to the Rockets and get, let's say, the three players and the lottery pick, but not the future number ones. So you take out Kuminga on the Warriors end, replace him with Moody. You take out those 2025 and 2027 first round picks that Houston's throwing in. Um, they keep their first round picks in those 2 seasons. You're keeping Kuminga and moving Moody. And ultimately, the deal looks more like this: it's Poole and Moody to the Rockets for Kevin Porter, Tate, Martin, and the lottery pick. Now I'm interested. Now, what do I think? This is a deal I would make. Now I don't want to move Kuminga, but I would move Moody with Poole. And I would even consider moving something else in that deal to make it work. The contracts, Porter, Tate, Martin, I think that still works if you take out Moody or take out Kuminga and throw in Moody. And that now you get that fourth pick in the draft. What are you going to do with the fourth pick in the draft? Because that's a major pick. So now you're getting Kevin Porter, Jayshawn Tate, KJ Martin, and whatever pick you pick fourth overall. I love the kid Grady Dick out of Kansas. He just shot lights out at the Chicago Combine. This guy's got a nice little game off the dribble. People have compared him to Kevin Huerter because he's a 6'8" two guard. But I think there's more upside than what Huerter provides. I think Grady Dick is a better player than Kevin Huerter. I think he's got more upside. He's got more ability to create off the bounce. I really like him. Not to mention he's an incredible shooter. I think he's the best pure shooter in this draft among the perimeter players. So to me, if I were the Warriors, I would pull the trigger on that reconfigured deal. Moody and Poole for Porter, Tate, Martin in that pick. I'll take Grady Dick at 4. And I maybe even, you know what? It's one of those things where Grady Dick is thought to be going at 10. So maybe you could even trade down a spot or two and pick up another number one. At 19, I wouldn't mind taking Trace Jackson Davis, the Indiana kid who's really more of a 5. He's a 5. He's not a perimeter shooter. He's really a small ball 5, but there's a lot to like about Trace Jackson Davis. I think the upside's great. The shot blocking, the defensive ability, the rebounding, the scoring inside, the quick jumping, the fact that he's a second-generation NBA player. Dale Davis was a great athlete, had great longevity in the NBA. I think Trace Jackson Davis on the Warrior front line could really be a nice player. He knows how to play. He's got high basketball IQ. So I would take Grady Dick in the lottery with that fourth pick, or maybe move down to 6, see if you can get another number one, and then see if you can turn the fourth pick into 2 1s and wind up with Grady Dick and Trace Jackson Davis, TJD as they like to call him. And then at 19, the Warriors also have the 19th pick in the first round. There's a kid that I saw in Chicago named Tristan Vukovic, who is a Serbian-born kid who lives in Italy, played for Real Madrid, and showed up in Chicago. And this kid, I don't know about what he's going to be defensively, but man, can he shoot the ball, and it is beautiful coming out of his hand. I mean, beautiful. This guy can flat out shoot it. And we're talking about 6'11". And he's not wimpy. I mean, this guy's got some muscle to him. He's not like he's just going to be bothered by NBA length and athleticism and be a 0. This guy can flat out shoot it. Now, what do I see? I mean, I see a little bit of Dirk. There's a little bit of Dirk in this guy. I'm not saying he's a Hall of Famer. Nowitzki was Nowitzki. But this guy is not just a catch and shoot perimeter bomber. I saw him in Chicago, put it on the deck at the elbow, move a little bit to his left and right, square the shoulders, and he shoots it up high. So you're talking about a 6'11" guy who with an unbelievably beautiful stroke. Just think of Klay Thompson were 6'11". That's Tristan Vukovic. And he's young, but he's competitive. He can put it on the deck a little bit. I think that could be absolutely a steal of a player. Now, they list him right now in the second round. There's no chance in hell he's going in the second round. I mean, after what he did in Chicago, he's not going in the second round. But he might be there at 19 for the Warriors. Tristan Vukovic. Um, think of a much, much better version of Nemanja Bjelica. Just much better. I mean, better shooter, better form, pure shot, great range. But then he also has the ability to put it on the deck, move a little bit, and knock down some mid-range shots. I mean, I'll tell you, the way that Durant used to shoot that mid-range where he would shoot it up high, and he's 6'11", he's shooting it real up high at the elbow, and nobody can bother him. I'm not saying Vukovic is Durant, don't get me wrong, but Vukovic has got that mid-range game like KD, where he can take a couple dribbles and rise up, and you can have a hand in his face, and he's shooting it up high, and his release is pure, and it's going down. So those would be the three guys I'd be interested in the draft. What do the Warriors really need? They need to recreate themselves, but there's no shortcuts. You're not going to be able to like trade for LeBron or add Bradley Beal and then suddenly you're winning titles. You're beyond that point at this point. You have to do what you did originally. You have to hit in the draft, and you have to hit in the draft with guys who have incredible skill. That's what Steph Curry was. That's what Trey Thompson was. And Draymond Green was an incredible find. Well, that's what you need. That's what you need to do. There are no shortcuts. You got to hit. So, yeah, if I could move Jordan Poole and Wiggins and get Jaylen Brown, I'm absolutely considering that. I'm not trading for LeBron. No chance in hell. But that Rockets trade, if I could take Kuminga out, add Moses Moody, and still wind up with Kevin Porter, Jayshawn Tate, KJ Martin, and I could get Grady Dick and maybe Tristan Vukovic in the draft with the picks I get and get two real shooters. I mean, if the Warriors added Grady Dick and Tristan Vukovic, you've now added a mid-range sniper who can play off the bench behind Klay Thompson. You got a future blue chip guy who I think is ready to play right now. Then you got the best shooting big man in this draft, a guy who can play right now with Draymond Green. You let Green play the 5, you let this guy play the stretch 4, and you can still play your pace and space, and you got an awesome shooter from the perimeter in Vukovic. And then Trace Jackson Davis, I think, is a really nice player that high upside, a lot of basketball IQ, really smart kid, second generation NBA player. He could be a guy inside that could score in bunches and really help Golden State. That would be my plan. Get LeBron? Hell no. I don't want LeBron. And I'm not real interested in moving Kuminga. But man, if I could somehow deal with the Rockets, keep Kuminga, and wind up with Kevin Porter and Grady Dick and Tristan Vukovic, that's the direction I'm going. And that's the direction I think the Warriors ought to go. Surround your veteran core with young players. The 2 timeline thing does, it's not like it's going to work for sure, but this is the better plan because now you've got young players who potentially could ascend to being starters. And if they can ascend quickly and you can develop them quickly, and I think you can with Grady Dick and Vukovic and Tristan Jackson Davis or Trace Jackson Davis, you add those 3 guys and a Kevin Porter to what you have, I think you've got a much more interesting basketball team. And you've got, shooting. You're adding more shooting. I mean, that would be a really tough team to defend. If you're going to have Klay Thompson and Steph Curry in the twilight years on your roster, you're going to need, some other shooters on the floor with them so that the defense can't just absolutely just dominate them and get, cover them. So you're going to need to stretch the floor. You're going to need to have other guys who can shoot it. Grady Dick and Tristan Vukovic can flat out shoot it. You might get the 2 best shooters in the draft right there. And to me, you got here by finding skill in the draft. And how are you going to get back to the title? The same damn way, finding skill in the draft. And I would do it with Grady Dick, Trace Jackson Davis, and Tristan Vukovic. All right, hope you enjoyed our Warrior video. Check out Pig in a Pickle in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week in Marin, Wednesday through Sunday in Emeryville. And thanks to all of you guys for supporting The Krug Show on YouTube.